Okay, so I went ahead and finally had time to go out and get Contenders printed up. This is the role-playing game of Blood, Sweat, Pain, and Hope, a boxing role-playing game. This video will go up on both channels, my sports channel, because there are individuals in the sports community that might find this interesting, and then of course here on Roleplay Cafe where we roleplay and we try different games and we talk about gaming and we develop games and all that nonsense. This is by J.J. Prince, 45-page document. Obviously the art, this was printed in straight black and white on 24 weight paper. The art does look better in the PDF. I just so don't judge this on how it looks here, as I printed it as cheaply as possible. So I was excited about this for a couple reasons. One, I was looking for sports games that have career modes, or at least a sense of development of a character or a team or a league or something. One. Two, it's boxing, which is my favorite sport. Three, it's a role-playing game that is I think was nominated or did win the Ronnie Awards for unique role-playing experience, and I thought that all those things sound pretty cool. You make a boxer, and you have a series of things you must go through. You create your boxer, and there's actually even pretty brutal boxing matches. I have no idea how sports-like it is in the boxing matches, but your character has 4 attributes. What I like about this, too, from what I've read just briefly, again, I have not read this thoroughly nor read through it a second time, so I'm going to be speaking about this pretty, with pretty limited data points. I mean, pretty limited expertise in it. But I like the fact that you have these attributes: pain, hope, cash, and rep. And all of them will go up or down based on the game, your success, in challenges. And therefore, you're trying to gain some, minimize others, and then at the end, hopefully you will have enough of the right attribute scores to succeed in your goals, right? So, to give you an idea, pain is central to the game and the themes explored. Pain represents far more than more physical suffering. Pain is a reflection of despair and rage each contender feels. Remember, this game is loosely based on great Hollywood boxing films or great stories from real boxing legends. Rocky Graciano, On the Waterfront, the fictional film On the Waterfront. Somebody up there likes me about Rocky Graciano, which is a true story, but all the black and white, boxers coming up from, in a bad way, trying to become something. So hope is the light counterbalance to pain. Hope keeps your contenders going. It's the hope of something better that helps you deal with the pain. In Contenders, hope springs from the contenders' connections and winning boxing matches. So your hope will go up as you win fights and through your connections. Cash. This may be the root of all evil, but we all need cash. In Contenders, cash does not just represent money. Cash also represents time and energy, but in all honesty, it's mostly about greenbacks. Cash will fluctuate over the course of the game. Rep is the boxer's reputation. It's all important. The better known the contender is, the more cash he or she can earn from the boxing matches. Reputation increases with each match a boxer fights. Winning matches boosts rep as well. Losing rep only diminishes if the contender employs dirty tactics during a fight. So that's pretty cool. And remember, it's a role-playing game, but it's a GM-less role-playing game, meaning you could play this as a social game with other people who are also boxers in the world. You don't need a referee, so to speak, in this. So this would make a great solitaire game. That's the other reason I thought, being a GM-less game, I thought it might make a great solitaire game. In-ring traits, technique, cover, power, and conditioning. So this is our character, basically. These are the attributes that can go up and down. And then we have in-ring. This would be for our actual boxing. Technique. Cover up, I'm sure, cover mechanics. Power, we all want a big, fat, powerful punch. And our conditioning. So there's 4 in-ring traits. That would be for the boxing fight, I am sure. Technique refers to your contender's technical ability to land blows and outbox their opponent. Accurate fighters with good hand speed and reach have a high technique score. Okay, cover. This trait refers to your contender's defensive abilities, their ability to cover up defensive reflexes. Power, pretty self-explanatory. Powerful pugilists hit hard, often win by means of KO. Physical conditioning is the paramount importance to boxers. Conditioning represents fitness, stamina, endurance, willpower, and tenacity. So see, I'm digging this already, right? Keeps the rating simple. You got 4 character traits and 4 in-ring boxing traits, keeping the game simple, but it'll be dynamic and flexible. Contender creation, 1, concept. So we got to figure out the concept of our character, right? Who is your contender? Where does he come from? Who does he fight? What kind of individual is he? So that's your concept. 2, connections. Now this is big because this also affects hope, right? Connections represent a positive influence in the contender's life, someone or something he provides hope. When a connection is conceptualized, the player must determine what their contender's ultimate hope is for the connection, and conversely, what their ultimate fear is regarding the connection. So a connection would be wife, hope, or maybe girlfriend, wife, hope, to provide for, right? I don't know, something like that maybe is what they're getting at. Worst fear, lose wife, right? Or it could be something else, mother, brother, whatever, trying to bring your little brother out of the ghetto or something, and you don't want your little brother to fall to organized crime, something like that, right? Think Hollywood movie, or even, again, real life. You know, what was the connection from Mike Tyson in real life, right? It was Castaneda, right? Castaneda. Hope was to become the greatest fighter and continue that positive relationship with Castaneda. The worst thing would have been losing Castaneda, you know, being fired by Castaneda, or him dying, which he did. Mike Tyson is a real life, in that sense, tragedy, right? Beginning stats, 3. Okay, that's going to be interesting. Beginning stats. I'm assuming that has something to do with these abilities here. And then in-ring style. Ooh, in-ring style. You know what I'm thinking? Raging Bull in-ring style, right? You walk straight ahead into powerful punches, take a beating, but you eventually win. Okay, so contenders' connections: an ill family member, an alcoholic priest, a fiancé in debt, a local orphan, business venture, hooker with a heart of gold, etc. So those are your connections. Each player sets their contender's starting pain, hope, cash, rep. Each stat begins at 1. Okay, so it's going to be 1, 1, 1, and 1. That's easy enough because it is a player's. Then have 2 points to assign to stats. So I could add let's see here. I might go rep, so I can add 2. So I could have 1 to rep and 1 to hope. So I could start out 2 and 2. Okay. In-ring style. Each player now sets their contender starting technique, cover, power, and conditioning. Each in-ring trait begins at 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. Players then have 6 points to assign as they see fit. Traits fluctuate during play but can never go below 0, can never rise above 9. So now I have 6 points to add. So I'm definitely going to want conditioning. I'm going to give 3 to conditioning plus 3, so I'm going to have 4. That's 3 of my points. I would definitely want 2 power, 3 power, and then we're not going to have much technique. I am going to be more like Raging Bull here. That's 3, 4. We'll have 2 cover up and 1 technique. So 4 conditioning, 3 power, 2 cover up, and 1 technique. So basically my character is raw, a raw brawler, right? Okay. NPC pool. After all players have created their contender, each player is encouraged to design a non-player character boxer to function as an opponent for the PCs. When creating NPCs boxers, don't bother naming or coming up with their backstory. Just assign in-ring traits. Oh, sweet. So I can put opponent, NPC boxer, right? In-ring traits. We're going to say technique. 2, cover 2, power 2, and conditioning. Let me see again. You have 4. You have 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Conditioning 7, 8, 9. Now let's give technique. So my opponent would be a 3, 2, 2, 3 in the same ring techniques. Generate several opponent templates, which can then be used for a basis of boxers. Very cool. So that could be boxer 1. Boxer 2 might be a 1. 4, 3, that's 7, 8, 9, 10. And then we might have a 5, 4, that's 9, power 1, conditioning 0, and then we might have a 3, 3, 1, 3, boxer with good conditioning, good cover-up ability. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's make another one here that is 2, cover up, good defensive boxer 5 with good power at 7, 8, 9, and again 1 conditioning. There we go. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boxers, just like that. Okay, there's your character sheet. This is James McGray, aka Jimmy the Fist. He's got hope, contender connection go under hope, so that's something I need to do here. My hope is 2, so contender 1 and connection 1, right? That's in hope. Then we got pain 2, cash 1, that's his. Mine's 1, 2, 1, 2. Technique, right? And then you've got current. So that's your starting maximum, so to speak, and then your current. And then Jonathan McCrae, brother and heroin addict. Hope to set the bar together 1. To set up a bar together. And then fear, John throws away his life for the junk. Okay, so I would need to come up with connection. Hope for wife. Hope to provide. Nah, it's too vague. So for me, my hope needs to be medical treatment. How about that? My wife is sick. Medical treatment. She suffers from a illness. And then, of course, lose wife, dies because I can't provide medical treatment. That's a pretty serious connection. My wife needs medical treatment, maybe has a chronic illness. Obviously, the fear would be lose my wife, she dies, right? That's pretty good, right? So, young wife. And, of course, that would be, we'll say Sarah Jones, my wife. And this will be Mac Jones, right? Not related to the quarterback of the New England Patriots. Okay. Let's see here. Card says view the boxing match in Happy Umbreo Romano. Playing the game, each player in turn gets to set a scene for the contender. This can be done in any order, but ensure that each player sets a scene before any other player gets a second scene. So again, if you were playing with 4 buddies, everybody has to set up a scene, right? Rico fixes Willie with a steely stare and speaks harsh. While some players prefer to describe things in the first person, some will do bird's eye view. My boxer is training in the gym, etc., etc. That's just how to do the thing. Scene types, and then there's looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 types of scenes: connections, work, training, promotion, fight, free play, and threat. So that's pretty interesting. So connection would be there are important scenes as they provide a contender with hope. There are 2 types of connection scenes: establishing a new connection or visiting an established connection. So we establish a new one, like my trainer maybe, or I would visit a set one, Sarah Jones, or later my trainer, my boxing trainer, or my promoter, or my brother, or whatever. Hope is provided by connections. Always go into the connection pool. So when you're running low on hope, you need to build up that hope, right? If not, you're going to ultimately be in a tragic. You're going to have a tragic boxer. The player with role plays a scene to show their contender's involvement with a connection, right? Visiting an established connection. So that would be the role play portion. Again, you could think of it as just narrative, right? Narratively, you can say, I'm going to go visit my wife at the hospital, and you know, I'm trying to resolve a scene in which I can get some hope, right? That's for those who aren't looking at this as a role-playing game. Think of it as the narrative of the reason you do a thing to get hope, right? Visiting an established connection is slightly different. In order to provide hope, the connection needs cash. The player determines how much cash they are spending on their connection. So perfect. Medical treatment. I need cash. I'm going to go. I have to pay for my wife's medical treatment. So that's a big deal. I got to somehow get cash before I can visit my wife, right? Or so before I can resolve that connection. Let's see here, and then we have, what were the other ones? The other one was work. Now work, obviously, work scenes. These relate to the contender taking a job for ready cash. Typically, this involves some sort of manual labor, but for larger amounts of cash, 3 plus, it's more likely to be shady work as a heavy. Think of a bone breaker or a heavy for the mob. You know, maybe I'm the one extracting union payment on the labor docks for the mob, right? You owe the union so much, or protection money for the mob, whatever the case may be, right? Maybe I'm doing illegal activities, burglary or something, right, to get cash. To determine the outcome of the job, the active player draws a number of cards equal to his current pain, right? So my pain is 1, I would draw a card for pain. If the contender wins the check, the job goes well, they get the cash. If the check is tied, the scene, an ambivalent outcome. The job is done, the cash is gained, but point of pain is also gained. So I would get the job done, but I would go up in pain. If the contender loses the check, then the job goes badly, no cash, right? So how do we do a check? Determine the outcome. To determine the outcome of the job, the active player draws a number of cards equal to his current pain. Red cards are successes that forces the adversity oppose the pain check by drawing a number of cards equal to the amount of cash a contender is trying to earn from the work. If the contender wins the check, then the job goes well. Wow. To determine the outcome of the job, the active player draws a number of cards equal to the current pain. So I would draw 1 card. A red card is a success. The forces of adversity oppose the pain check by drawing a number of cards equal to the amount of cash that I'm trying to earn. If the contender wins the check, if the check is tied, the scene, wow. So my current cash is 1. Let's say I want to earn 1. I get to draw 1 pain card. How does that work? Hawk has been to see Don Del Vecchio. Don has promised him some money if he gets rid of a troublesome card sharp. Hawk is waiting in the parking lot for the target. He's trying to earn 3 cash. His current pain is 4. He draws 4 cards, getting 1 success. Bob and Al left draws 3 cards, getting 3 successes. Uh-oh, it goes badly for Hawk. So I have to hope. For instance, let's say that's a similar. So I get 1 card for me, and I want to earn 3 cash. I need red to be successful. Joker. Well, I'm not certain we're even supposed to have jokers in the deck. Okay, so I got a red. All right, let's assume. I don't even know if Joker should be in the deck. Okay. I need these to all be black. Right? Oh, so I'm already tied. Oh, I'm gonna lose. Yeah, so so I lose the check, right? So that's pretty interesting. Okay, so it uses cards, not dice. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so you flip that sucker. It says here, uh-oh, things are going badly for Hawk. Okay, I'll just narrate. The card sharp appears flanked by 2 burly goons. Hawk charges them from the shadow, smashing one of them to the ground, that grabs the card, etc., etc. Hawk goes down in a flurry of kicks and motionless in the parking lot. And you get to add 1 pain, right? So my pain would go up from that failure. Al adds 1 to T Hawk's pain, so I would go up 1 in my pain. Interesting. So that's pretty cool, right? So I should have been trying to get 1 cash. I might have succeeded at 1, right? Going for like 3 cash without the pain is going to be tough. Contenders have got to put time in the gym. So this is the other scenes are training. So we got a training one, right? And then we have a promotion, free play. Where's promotion? I don't see promotion here. Crossing over. Promotion scenes. Interesting. So we got training, promotion, fight. Threat scenes. These scenes are a special case. There are 2 types of threat scene. A brawl and a threatening a connection. So my wife could be threatened, or my brother, or whoever my connection is, right? When a promotion scene sets up a fight between 2 contenders, then the match occurs in a challenge contender's next turn. Contender scenes, and then the fight scenes, right? So we got an entire chapter on the fight scenes. This comes from a promotion. Fight scenes. The scene, contenders, and then boxing matches. Puncher's choice, aggressive. You can work off the jab. You can bob and weave. You can street style, which are dirty tactics. which is kind of fascinating. Boxing matches. Okay, it says here there are 4 tactical options. Puncher's choice are hearts. Work off the jab or spades. Bob and weave or diamonds. Street style or clubs. After tactics are revealed, the domination check is made to see who gets the better of the round. Each boxer's controller draws a number of cards equal to the dominant score of their chosen tactic, plus their current technique score. Oh, I see. So if I do puncher's choice, dominant 1, damage 5. If I work off the jab, it's dominate 3, damage 3. That's balanced. If I do bob and weave, it's dominate 5, damage 1. And street style is dominant 4, damage 4. That's fascinating. Okay. Red cards count as successes, so again, you draw cards. If you get red ones, you're winning. If you don't, you're not. If a domination check is tied, the dominance is shared between the 2 fighters. The dominant fighter then makes a damage check for drawing the number of cards equal to their chosen tactics damage rating plus their current power score. So damage, 0 or less, the round is pretty even. 1 or 2, the fighter gains a marginal advantage, 1 VP. 3 to 4, the fighter gains a significant advantage, 2 VPs. Victory points is what that must mean. Yeah, victory points. And 5 plus, the fighter overpowers an opponent, winning by KO. So if you can get 5 plus VPs in the round, you'll win by KO or TKO. After damage has been calculated, then the round is narrated. So you first calculate damage before you narrate the fight. That's interesting. For narration purposes, jokers trump aces. If the high card is tied, then compare second highest. Okay. And then he gives examples. Next round, fatigue. At the start of the second and subsequent rounds, each boxer subtracts 1 point from their conditioning trait. So basically, I would have 4 rounds before I am totally tired, right? Early. Contender fights, bringing the pain, going the distance, match outcomes. It's pretty cool. Burning hope. Oh, you can burn hope. That's interesting. A contender may permanently burn a point of hope at any time during a match to restore a trait. The maximum amount of damage that can be repaired per point of hope spent is equal to the contender's current total hope. Each boxer also receives an amount of cash equal to the share for the fight purse. Okay, that's pretty cool. Winning a bout grants an additional point of reputation, a total advance to +2. Endgame. Endgame, interesting. So we are at page 37, endgame. When a contender's rep reaches 10, the endgame is triggered. Endgame is also triggered if the connection threat is declared against a contender with no connections left. So when there's threats to your connections and they fail, you lose them. So my wife could die in the hospital or die, from complications of her disease. Boom, right? I'm kind of done. So I get to that in-game rep of 10, and my wife, there's no contenders left, right? The connectionless contender must fight their last match under a stipulation. If they fail to keep to the stipulation, then they lose all hope after the match. They are no longer a contender. So once my hope hits 0, each contender gets a final scene of their choice. The next scene is automatically a promotion scene in which the big fight night is planned. Big fights are played out in any other match except that any hope gained from winning is doubled. The final act of the play for each player is to narrate an epilogue, right? The contender's epilogue is also constrained based on their final values of hope and pain. If hope and pain are equal, their epilogue should retain an air of ambivalence and uncertainty. The contender's eventual hopes for their connections are not yet realized, nor are their contender's ultimate fears. The epilogue can end optimistically or darkly, depending on the narrator's preference. If the pain is greater than hope, then the contender tale ends in a tragedy and the world crashes down around them. The contender's ultimate fears regarding their connections all have come to pass. This is dark and downbeat ending for the contender, and the narrator is encouraged to make it as emotional as possible. Got a character sheet here. We got our contender summary. Scene types, what they do, how they work, tactics, damages, VPs, and our round tracker. So it's got your all your stuff you need for the game. It's got your NPC templates for your enemy boxers, or your, I should say, opponents. And then, of course, our acknowledgments and credits. Very cool. Hey, sports fans, pile drivers, and power bombs. It looks like there may be a wrestling game also out there. And then Shadow of the Prince of Darkness, fantasy role-playing epic narrative. So these are all narrative-based RPGs, it looks like. Cutthroat, 316, Carnage Among the Stars, a Greg Hutton. So there's some other, looks like other samples of other role-playing games there in the book as well. So there's Contenders, folks. Pretty cool. I mean, very simple, right? We got our character attributes, which obviously will go up and down, directly related to your card options, right? Then we have our techniques directly related to the boxing match, which will again affect damage as well as probably the number of cards you draw, etc. I'm not going to get too into the details here. You have to come up with a concept for your boxer. You have to come up with a chief connection with hope and fear. You have to pick your beginning stats, which I have done, and then of course the in-ring style. This particular character would definitely be a fit brawler, as he has no technique hardly. And then of course I've made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 opponents. I could name them, but I haven't had to yet. So there you go. That's Mac Jones, and pretty interesting, right? I mean, it is definitely focused on role-playing game elements, more so than just a straight-up sports dice rolling sports simulator, right? So it doesn't require a GM. You're not going to role-play, obviously, by yourself, but you could certainly come up with narrative understanding of why you're going to do what you're going to do as far as flipping cards in training, flipping cards in a fight, flipping cards against opponents. All that works just fine. Wouldn't be any different than playing, say, a solitaire sports game. And your story is very much private if you played this by yourself, right? Solo. We'll see how it works. I'm going to study the rules so I know exactly how the game works before I play. And then I will do a solitaire career here on this channel, Roleplay Cafe. I may or may not share that video as well on my sports channel. Depends on whether it comes off with any kind of sports relevance or more of a role-playing game. So anyway, that is Contenders, folks, the role-playing boxing game. Bye-bye.